Imagine standing before a vast canvas, filled with layers of luminous, vibrant colors that seem to pull you in. There's no distinct subject, no clear imagery, just colors, shapes, and an overwhelming emotional response. This is the art of Mark Rothko, one of the most influential figures in the Abstract Expressionist movement. In today's video, we'll explore the life and work of Mark Rothko, a man who transformed the use of color into a profound expression of human emotion and spirituality. We'll dive deep into his journey from a young immigrant to an internationally recognized artist and uncover the unique approach that made Rothko's work so deeply moving and universally resonant. Early life, the immigrant's journey. Mark Rothko was born Marcus Yakovlevich Rothkowitz on September 25, 1903, in Dvinsk, a town in what is now Latvia. At the age of 10, Rothko and his family immigrated to the United States to escape the rising tide of anti-Semitism in Eastern Europe. They settled in Portland, Oregon, where Rothko would later attend school. His early life was marked by the struggles of an immigrant family, poverty, cultural adjustment, and the challenges of fitting into a new society. Despite these hardships, Rothko showed an early interest in art. He enrolled at Yale University in 1921, where he studied philosophy and the humanities, but it was his passion for painting that ultimately led him to pursue a career in the arts. Rothko moved to New York City in the 1920s, where he studied at the Art Students League of New York and began to develop his distinctive artistic style. Early career, experimentation and development. In the early years of his career, Rothko experimented with various styles and influences, including figurative art, surrealism, and social realism. He was particularly drawn to the works of the European modernists, such as Henri Matisse and Pablo Picasso, whose use of color and abstraction resonated with him deeply. Rothko's early works often featured human figures, but he gradually moved away from representational art toward more abstract forms. By the late 1930s and early 1940s, Rothko was heavily influenced by the Surrealist movement and the emotional intensity of their works. His paintings during this time were dark, somber, and filled with complex shapes and organic forms. But as his style continued to evolve, Rothko began to move away from surrealism and started exploring color in a more direct and abstract way. The birth of color field painting. Rothko's breakthrough came in the late 1940s as he developed the unique style that would define his legacy, color field painting. This style focused on the emotional and spiritual potential of color, using vast, glowing fields of color to create a sense of depth and resonance. Unlike earlier abstractionists like Jackson Pollock, who used aggressive brushstrokes and dynamic forms, Rothko sought to create a more meditative and contemplative experience for the viewer. At the heart of Rothko's color field works were large rectangles of color stacked vertically or horizontally, often surrounded by soft edges that seemed to dissolve into the background. These forms weren't meant to represent anything specific, but instead were intended to evoke a deep emotional response from the viewer. Rothko's colors, vibrant reds, oranges, blues, and purples, were designed to convey a range of human emotions, from joy to despair, from contemplation to transcendence. One of Rothko's most famous works during this period is the Multiform series, 1949, where he began to explore the layering of colors and the balance between light and dark. These works moved away from sharp boundaries and embraced a more fluid approach to color, where the edges of the shapes seemed to bleed into one another, creating a sense of movement and depth. The Rothko Chapel and spirituality in art. For Rothko, art wasn't just about visual aesthetics. It was about creating an emotional and spiritual experience. This belief was most evident in his commission for the Rothko Chapel in Houston, Texas. In 1964, Rothko was approached to create a series of paintings for a non-denominational chapel that would serve as a space for meditation and reflection. The chapel's serene environment and religious context provided the perfect setting for Rothko's exploration of spirituality through color. The works he created for the chapel are some of his most iconic. Composed of 14 large-scale paintings, these works feature soft, rectangular fields of color with no discernible shapes or figures. The muted colors and vast spaces were meant to evoke a sense of timelessness and transcendence, inviting the viewer to experience a deep, introspective journey. Rothko's belief in the power of color to convey emotion and spirituality was fully realized in this commission, and the Rothko Chapel remains a sacred space where visitors can experience the profound emotional resonance of his work. Rothko's influence on the art world. Rothko's work was revolutionary, and his influence on the art world is immense. As a leading figure in the Abstract Expressionist movement, Rothko's exploration of color and emotion laid the groundwork for many subsequent art movements, including minimalism and post-minimalism. His focus on color as a means of expression also paved the way for later artists to explore non-representational forms and to use color as a powerful tool in creating emotional and psychological experiences. Although Rothko was associated with abstract expressionism, he differed from artists like Jackson Pollock and Willem de Kooning in his emphasis on stillness, quietude, and inner contemplation. While Pollock's work was frenetic and energetic, Rothko's paintings were calm, meditative, and introspective. His work became a form of visual language that transcended specific subject matter and resonated with the universal human experience. Rothko's influence also extended beyond the visual arts. His use of color and space has had a profound impact on design, architecture, and even fashion. His approach to abstraction has influenced a wide range of artists, including contemporary figures like Ellsworth Kelly and Anish Kapoor. Personal struggles and tragic end. Despite his success, Rothko's personal life was marked by struggles with depression and a deep sense of isolation. Throughout his career, he often wrestled with feelings of anxiety and despair, and these emotions were reflected in the intensity of his work. Rothko's personal life was further complicated by his tumultuous relationships, including a failed marriage and issues with his family. In 1970, Rothko's life took a tragic turn when his health began to decline. He was deeply affected by the changing art market, which he believed had become overly commercialized, and he began to withdraw from the public eye. On February 25, 1970, Mark Rothko was found dead in his New York City studio, an apparent suicide at the age of 66. His death marked the end of a brilliant career, but his legacy as one of the most important and influential artists of the 20th century remains intact. Legacy and impact. Mark Rothko's legacy continues to inspire and challenge artists, collectors, and art lovers around the world. His commitment to color, form, and emotion transformed the way we view abstraction and the role of art in human experience. Rothko's works remain central to the collections of major museums around the world, including the Museum of Modern Art in New York, the Tate Modern in London, and the National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C. Rothko's unique approach to abstraction. His ability to evoke profound emotional experiences through color alone has solidified his place as a master of modern art. His works continue to captivate viewers, providing a window into the artist's inner world and inviting us to contemplate the emotional depths of the human experience. Mark Rothko's art is an invitation to connect with our emotions on a deep, personal level. Through his exploration of color, light, and form, Rothko created works that speak directly to the soul. His legacy endures not just in the art world, but in the hearts of those who have encountered his paintings and experienced the powerful emotional impact they can have. If you've been moved by Rothko's work or are inspired by his journey, let us know in the comments. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more videos on the lives and legacies of the world's most influential artists. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.